My mother made that dress with her own hands during the final year of her life. Ivory silk, hand-stitched pearls around the collar, a narrow satin ribbon at the waist. She let the hem out twice because she kept insisting I would grow into it, even though I was already 30 years old. She finished the last stitches from a hospital bed while chemotherapy weakened the hands that had worked 12-hour nursing shifts, raised a daughter alone, and repaired half the Sunday dresses in our neighborhood. "This is for your someday," she told me. "What someday?" "The day you finally stand somewhere and know, without anybody's permission, that you belong there." I never wore it while she was alive. After she passed, I wrapped it in acid-free tissue, placed it inside a cedar box, and kept it in the back of my closet like the last voicemail from someone you loved too much to delete. My husband knew all of that. He knew what the dress meant. He knew my mother had made it for me while she was dying. And he still took it from my closet and gave it to his mistress. Not by accident. Not because he misunderstood. He gave it away because he had stopped seeing anything connected to me as sacred. My name is Simone Carter. For 9 years, I helped Jaewon Kang build an empire powerful men, feared and respectable men, pretended not to understand. He thought the company belonged to him. He thought the relationships belonged to him. He thought my loyalty belonged to him. By the time he realized he had been wrong about all three, the woman wearing my mother's dress had already abandoned him. His oldest partners were calling me instead, and his own grandmother had placed the real Kang family ledger into my hands. But the moment Jaewon finally understood what he had lost did not happen in a boardroom. It happened 6 months later, at the top of a staircase, when I walked into a ballroom wearing the dress he had given away, and every person who once stood when he entered the room stood for me instead. I met Jaewon Kang at a logistics conference in Chicago 9 years earlier. I was 26 and running quality control for a mid-sized import company. Jaewon was 29, heir to Kang Shipping, and already carried himself like every room belonged to him. During a panel discussion, he presented projected shipping figures that did not match the customs data printed in the conference packet. I raised my hand. "Your third-quarter estimate is wrong," I said. The room went silent. Jaewon stared at me from the stage. "Excuse me? You used last year's port congestion rate. The current rate is 12% higher. Your projected delivery window is impossible." 40 people looked from me to him. Jaewon checked the packet. Then he looked back at me. I was right. He found me at the hotel bar afterward. "You embarrassed me in there. I corrected you. In front of 40 people. You were wrong in front of 40 people. Most men would have hated me for that." Jaewon smiled. "Most people would have stayed quiet. I'm not most people." 2 years later, we married at a courthouse. Jaewon said he did not need a ballroom or 500 guests to prove what was real. At the time, I thought that was romantic. Years later, I understood something different. Jaewon liked private promises because private promises had no witnesses. I entered the marriage completely. I studied Kang Shipping until I understood its weaknesses better than the executives who had worked there for 20 years. I found contracts with renewal clauses that exposed the company to sudden price increases. I discovered a Savannah warehouse manager who had been skimming inventory. I repaired a relationship with a Houston distributor who was preparing to walk away after 3 failed deliveries. Jaewon presented all 3 victories at the next family meeting. His father congratulated him. His cousins called him brilliant. Jaewon squeezed my hand beneath the table and whispered, "I couldn't have done it without you." At first, that was enough. I did not need applause from his family. I only needed the man I loved to know the truth. Then came the customs audit. Federal inspectors requested 3 years of manifests, payment records, and customs classifications with 4 days' notice. Kang Shipping's filing system was chaos. Jaewon panicked. His father blamed the accounting department. The lawyers warned that one major discrepancy could freeze operations for months. I spent 4 nights rebuilding the records. I cross-referenced invoices against shipping codes while drinking cold coffee at 2 in the morning. I located missing manifests, corrected mislabeled containers, and built the digital filing system the company should have had years earlier. When the inspectors arrived, the records held. The lead auditor complimented the organization before leaving. Jaewon's father shook my hand. "You saved this family." Jaewon stood beside him and nodded, as though we had shared the sleepless nights equally. I said nothing. That became the pattern. I protected the company. Jaewon received the credit. I told myself that marriage meant building something together, even when only one person's name appeared on the door. My mother, Dolores Carter, raised me in Cleveland on a nurse's salary. She worked long shifts and still came home to alter church clothes for neighbors who could not afford new ones. When I was 9, I watched her repair a torn seam after midnight. "People think sewing is soft work," she said. "It isn't. It's exact work. One wrong stitch can pull apart everything at a seam nobody notices." I did not understand then. I understood after marrying Jaewon. My marriage looked powerful from the outside. Inside, every unseen seam ran through me. When my mother became ill, Jaewon was good to her. That truth made everything he did later harder to understand. He arranged specialists. He sat beside me in the hospital. He held my hand after she died. That was why I never believed he could dishonor her memory so completely. During one of her final lucid weeks, she asked me to bring her sewing basket. Her hands shook as she worked. "You don't have to finish it," I told her. "Yes, I do." "Why?" "Because some things should not be left unfinished." She worked through 3 exhausting afternoons. When the dress was done, she folded it into tissue paper and placed it in my lap. "For your someday." I kept it untouched for 4 years. Jaewon knew where it was. He knew why I had never worn it. He knew that opening the cedar box still made my hands shake. That knowledge did not stop him. I discovered Larissa Vance through a message that appeared on Jaewon's phone during dinner. "Can't wait to see you Friday." I set down my fork. "Who is Larissa?" Jaewon glanced at the screen. "Someone connected to the Holloway account. Why can't she wait to see you?" "It is not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." He leaned back and exhaled as though I were creating an inconvenience. "The business has been difficult. Your mother's death changed things between us. Everything became heavy. My grief became heavy for you?" "That is not what I said. It is exactly what you said." He rubbed his forehead. "Larissa is uncomplicated." That word stayed with me. Uncomplicated. 9 years of customs, audits, contract negotiations, family crises, funeral arrangements, and midnight phone calls, and I had become the complicated part of his life. "I will give you one chance to end it," I said. He looked surprised. "Simone, one chance. Not because you deserve it, because I need to know that when I leave, I did everything I could. I'll end it. You are promising me?" "Yes." He did not end it. 3 weeks later, I saw Larissa standing beneath a chandelier in my mother's dress. The Kang family's spring gala was not merely a celebration. It was where contracts were renewed, alliances were maintained, and dangerous men shook hands beneath respectable lighting. I had organized it for 6 years. I knew every seating arrangement, dietary restriction, rivalry, and private negotiation. I entered that night wearing navy. At the top of the staircase, I stopped. Larissa stood below me in ivory silk. My mother's pearls circled her throat. The waist had been taken in. The hem had been shortened. Someone had cut into the fabric my mother stitched while struggling to keep her hands steady. My friend Renee gripped my arm. "Is that your mother's dress?" "Yes. Tell me what you need." "Nothing yet. Simone, I will drag her into the ladies' room myself. That is exactly what she wants." "What?" "A scene. A story about the grieving wife who lost control." I descended the staircase slowly. Jaewon stood near the bar, speaking with 2 warehouse partners. He saw me approaching and dismissed them. I looked directly at him. "Where did Larissa get that dress?" He did not pretend to misunderstand. "I gave it to her. That belonged to my mother. It was sitting in a box." "You opened the cedar box?" "Larissa needed something appropriate for tonight. My mother made that dress for me while she was dying. You never wore it." For a moment, every sound in the ballroom seemed to disappear. The string quartet, the conversations, the glasses touching silver trays. All I heard was his voice saying that the final thing my mother made for me had been wasted because I had not used it quickly enough. Larissa joined us. She touched the pearl collar. Jaewon said it was only collecting dust. "It was not his to give you." Her smile sharpened. "It's just a dress, Simone." "No." I looked at her. "It is not." Jaewon lowered his voice. "Do not cause a scene." I turned toward him. "I won't." Relief crossed his face. He thought silence meant surrender. I looked once more at the cut seams around Larissa's waist. This will be handled. Then I walked away. Renee followed me into the coat check room. You did not even raise your voice. I don't need to. What are you going to do? I looked at myself in the mirror. My mother used to wear the same expression when a situation became too serious for anger. I'm going to let them discover what she actually won. 2 days after the gala, a Kang Shipping container was flagged at the port of Long Beach. The problem was minor. 1 incorrect customs classification. 1 missing signature. The kind of issue I had resolved hundreds of times with a single call. Jaewon called Dwight Okafor, the customs broker responsible for clearing it. Dwight did not answer. Jaewon called again. Still nothing. That afternoon, he entered my office. Have you spoken with Dwight? Last week? I need you to call him. About what? The Long Beach shipment. What would you like me to tell him? Jaewon stared at me. Tell him to clear it. On whose authority? Ours. There is no ours anymore, Jaewon. You made that clear. This is business. Yes. I closed the folder in front of me. And it is your business. His jaw tightened. Stop playing games. I am not playing anything. I am simply no longer performing work for a man who gave my mother's final gift to his mistress. He stepped closer. You are willing to damage the company over a dress? No. The company is being damaged because you do not know how to run the relationships I built for you. I built this company. You inherited the name. There is a difference. He left without another word. The shipment remained at the port for 4 days. Kang Shipping lost the client. That was the first crack. Jaewon called it bad luck. The following week, Jaewon attended a contract renewal lunch with Patrice Holloway. Patrice had worked with Kang Shipping for 6 years. She valued preparation, direct answers, and people who returned calls quickly. For every previous meeting, I had prepared the updated terms, delivery projections, and contingency schedules. This time, I prepared nothing. Jaewon arrived without the documents. Patrice called me from the parking lot afterward. That meeting was a disaster. I'm sorry. He did not understand the revised schedule. He quoted old numbers and blamed his staff when I asked about the port delays. I said nothing. Simone, I am going to be direct. Every good experience I have had with Kang Shipping carried your fingerprints. Things are changing. Are you leaving? I have not decided what I am building next. There was a brief silence. When you decide, call me before you call anyone else. That night, Jaewon came home angry. He blamed Patrice. He blamed the printer. He blamed the traffic. He never asked why everything that once appeared effortlessly before him had stopped appearing. That was the second crack. Then Grandmother Kang summoned the family to dinner. In-suk Kang had ruled the family for 40 years before transferring daily control to her son and grandson. She was nearly 80 and still frightened men twice her size without raising her voice. Larissa arrived on Jaewon's arm. I arrived alone. During dinner, Grandmother Kang looked directly at Larissa. Where is the ivory dress? Larissa smiled. Jaewon gave it to me. It is beautiful, isn't it? I asked where it came from. Larissa glanced at Jaewon. Simone's closet. Grandmother Kang placed her spoon beside her bowl. That dress was handmade by Simone's mother while she was dying. Every person at the table became still. Larissa's smile vanished. Grandmother Kang continued. She stitched the pearls herself. She made it as a final gift to her daughter. Larissa turned toward Jaewon. You told me it was an old dress. Jaewon looked down. I knew it belonged to her mother. I did not think it was being used. Grandmother Kang's voice hardened. You took a dying woman's final gift and handed it to the woman helping you betray her daughter. No one defended him. Not his father. Not his cousins. Not even the relatives who had spent years treating me as though I were fortunate to have entered their family. Larissa whispered, I didn't know. Grandmother Kang looked at her. You did not ask. I never said a word. I let the truth sit at the table with us. After dinner, Grandmother Kang asked me to walk with her through the garden. You have been holding this business together for years, she said. I did what needed to be done. And Jaewon accepted the praise. I allowed him to. That does not make what he did right. She stopped beside a stone bench. My daughter knew. Jaewon's mother had died 3 years earlier after a long illness. Knew what? That you were the reason the company remained stable. Grandmother Kang reached into her pocket and removed a brass key. During her final months, I read the weekly shipping reports to her. She would stop me and say, "Those numbers only make sense if Simone handled them." My throat tightened. She said that? She made me promise that Jaewon would never be allowed to waste what you built. Grandmother Kang placed the key in my palm. "This opens the safe in my study. Inside is the true operating ledger, not the ceremonial records Jaewon sees. It contains the partnership structures, voting agreements, and authority assignments that determine who actually controls the legitimate side of Kang Shipping. Why are you giving it to me? I am not giving you an empire." Her eyes held mine. "I am correcting the paperwork so it reflects the empire you already built." That distinction mattered. I was not inheriting Jaewon's power. His family was finally acknowledging mine. The next month, I met with Grandmother Kang's attorney. We reviewed every contract I had negotiated, every operating system I had created, and every partnership whose continuity depended upon my direct involvement. The legal restructuring did not hand me what belonged to Jaewon. It separated what I had created from what he had merely claimed. Dwight Okafor signed a new customs services agreement with Carter Logistics. Patrice Holloway signed an exclusive distribution arrangement. 3 warehouse operators followed. I did not announce anything publicly. I did not sabotage Kang Shipping. I continued answering calls from people who had trusted me for years. I simply placed my name on the work for the first time. Jaewon mistook my quietness for uncertainty. Then he appeared at the Regional Shipping Summit. 300 logistics executives filled the convention hall. Jaewon sat on a panel about supply chain resilience, a subject he had insisted upon because he believed it made him look visionary. The moderator asked about Kang Shipping's recent losses. Jaewon blamed internal restructuring. Dwight raised his hand from the audience. "My company's relationship with Kang Shipping has always depended upon one person," he said. "And she is not sitting on that stage." A ripple moved through the room. The moderator looked at Jaewon. "Would you care to identify that person?" Jaewon said nothing. Someone near the back called out, "Say her name." Everyone knows it. The room laughed, not cruelly. Worse, knowingly. Jaewon sat beneath the stage lights while an entire industry understood what he had spent years refusing to admit. I heard about it through 3 separate calls before he reached his car. Reputation does not always collapse with an explosion. Sometimes it disappears in 11 seconds of silence. By the end of the month, Jaewon's most reliable accounts were slipping away. The Boston consultants he hired charged him a fortune to explain that Kang Shipping lacked relationship continuity. In other words, it lacked me. He found me one night in Grandmother Kang's study reviewing the updated ledger. "What is happening to my company?" I looked up. Which part? The contracts. The delays. The partners. They are choosing who they trust. You told them to leave. No. You expect me to believe this is happening by coincidence? I expect you to understand that 6 years of trust does not transfer because you hand another woman my chair, my title, or my mother's dress. You are destroying everything we built. I am protecting what I built. He looked toward the ledger. What is that? The operating record. Grandmother gave it to you? No. I stood. She corrected it. His face tightened. What does that mean? It means the contracts I negotiated, the systems I created, and the partnerships I maintained are now legally attached to Carter Logistics. You stole my company. I separated my work from your name. That is the same thing. It only feels that way because you spent 9 years believing everything I touched automatically became yours. He looked at me for a long time. Then his anger changed into something quieter. Did you ever love me? I closed the ledger. I loved you enough to rebuild 3 years of customs records while you slept. He looked away. I loved you enough to protect your father from learning how close the company came to failing. Simone, I loved you enough to let you accept credit, because I believed private gratitude from my husband mattered more than public recognition. My voice remained steady. I loved you while my mother died. I loved you when grief made me difficult. I loved you when your family underestimated me. I gave you everything real I had. I stepped closer. You gave my dead mother's dress to a woman who did not even care enough to ask where it came from. He swallowed. Do not ask whether I loved you. Ask yourself why you never noticed. For the first time, Jaewon had no defense. Larissa came to see me 12 days later. She was not wearing diamonds. She did not carry herself like a woman who had won. I brought the dress back. She placed the garment bag across my sofa. I returned it to Jaewon after the family dinner. I felt sick once I understood. You should have asked before wearing it. I know. Do you? Her eyes filled, but I did not soften. Jaewon told me you did not care about it. And you believed him because believing him gave you something beautiful. She lowered her head. I grew up watching my mother work 3 jobs and still get ignored. When Jaewon chose me, I thought it meant I finally mattered. I understand wanting to be chosen. She looked up. But being overlooked does not give you permission to erase another woman. I didn't mean to. Intent does not repair altered silk. Her eyes moved toward the garment bag. Everyone knows what happened now. People whisper when I enter restaurants. My name is attached to his collapse. I did not take your reputation. I kept my voice calm. You spent it. Larissa wiped her face. What am I supposed to do? Learn from what it cost you. She left without asking for forgiveness. That was the first intelligent choice she had made since entering my marriage. I retrieved the dress from Jaewon's house 2 days later. He had moved into the guest wing. The dress hung in the front closet. I lifted it carefully from the garment bag. The fabric still smelled faintly of unfamiliar perfume. Jaewon entered the hallway. I never should have given it away. No, I am sorry. It was the first apology he had offered without following it with an excuse. I know things are out of control, he said. The company, the family, Larissa is not the reason your life collapsed. His expression hardened. She was part of it. She exposed it. I held the dress against my chest. You believed everything around you existed for your use. My work, my loyalty, my grief. Even this. I was wrong. Yes, help me fix it. No. His face changed. Simone, please. My mother had told me that I would wear the dress when I finally knew where I belonged. For 9 years, I assumed she meant beside my husband. I finally understood. She made this for the day I belonged exactly where I was standing, I said. I thought that meant belonging in your family, in your marriage, in your business. What does it mean now? That I belong to myself? He stared at me. The operating authority has been transferred, I continued. The contracts attached to my work now belong to Carter Logistics. Your grandmother did not give me what was yours. She documented what had always been mine. You cannot take everything. I'm not taking everything. I looked around the house where I had spent years making his life easier. I'm taking myself out of everything that used me. He lowered himself into a chair. I don't know how to rebuild without you. That is the first honest thing you have said. He covered his face with one hand. Is there any chance? For the business? For us? I looked at the man who had once held me while I mourned my mother, then later treated her final gift like unused property. No. His eyes lifted. Not because of Larissa alone. Not because of the dress alone. Because giving it away revealed what you had already decided about me. What? That nothing connected to me was valuable unless it served you. His eyes filled. I felt no triumph, only clarity. Some things are not yours to repair, Jaewon. They are yours to live with. I carried the dress upstairs and did not wait for him to answer. Comment it was never access togive if you believe Jaewon crossed a line, no apology could erase. I took the dress to a seamstress named Grace Odom. She had restored formal wear for 30 years. I told her that the dress had been altered without permission and returned after being worn by someone it was never intended for. Grace examined the seams. Whoever altered this knew how to sew, she said. Can you restore it? Yes. She touched the pearl collar carefully. But I will not replace your mother's stitching. That part stays exactly as she left it. 3 weeks later, Grace handed me the restored dress wrapped in fresh tissue paper. The alterations are gone, she said. It is back to your measurements. I ran my fingers over the pearls. Thank you. Grace held the box for another moment before releasing it. Wear it somewhere worthy, I smiled. I intend to. 6 months after the betrayal, the Kang family hosted another spring gala. This time, the invitations carried a different line beneath the family name. Operations directed by Carter Logistics. Grandmother Kang asked me to lead the event. Dwight Okafor arrived with his family. Patrice Holloway brought 2 junior partners. Warehouse managers who once waited for Jaewon's approval approached me directly. At the entrance, people asked my office manager where Miss Carter wanted them seated. My name was no longer whispered behind Jaewon's. It stood on its own. Jaewon attended because Grandmother Kang insisted the family face the consequences of its choices instead of hiding from them. He stood near the bar alone. Larissa had moved away. His father remained cordial but distant. Several partners greeted Jaewon politely before crossing the room to speak with me. Then the music changed. The ballroom doors opened. I stood at the top of the staircase wearing my mother's dress. Ivory silk. The restored waist. The original hem. Every pearl exactly where Dolores Carter had stitched it. The room went silent. Then Grandmother Kang stood. Patrice stood beside her. Dwight followed. Within seconds, nearly every person in the ballroom was on their feet. Not because I demanded it. Because they knew who had built the stability they had trusted for years. Jaewon looked up at me. His expression collapsed. For the first time, he saw the complete cost of his decision in one frame. The dress he had given away. The wife he had underestimated. The partners who no longer needed him. The business carrying my name. And the empty space beside him where the mistress had once stood. I descended the staircase slowly. Jaewon met me at the bottom. You restored it. Yes. You look. He stopped. Like my mother intended? His eyes lowered. I am sorry. I know. For the dress. For Larissa. For taking credit. For all of it. I held his gaze. I believe you regret it. I do. But regret is not restoration. His mouth tightened. I know. He looked around the ballroom. People were waiting for me. Not him. I thought everything would keep working because it always had, he said. It always worked because I did. He nodded. I understand that now. That is the tragedy, Jaewon. I stepped past him. You only learned my value after you no longer had access to it. Carter Logistics opened before the end of that year. 11 employees joined during the first 6 months. Most were women who had spent years performing invisible work beneath someone else's title. My office manager, Odessa Lin, had previously worked in customs clearance for a competitor. During her first week, she told me no executive had ever remembered her name after one introduction. That changes here, I said. Patrice became one of our largest clients. Dwight handled our West Coast customs operations. Grandmother Kang remained a minority advisor but refused any public credit. This company exists because you finally stopped letting other people tell your story, she said. Jaewon attempted to rebuild what remained of Kang Shipping. Some partners stayed out of respect for his father. Most did not. He called me once, nearly a year after the gala. I answered because enough time had passed for his voice to no longer disturb my peace. I saw the article about Carter Logistics, he said. We had a good quarter. You always understood the business better than I did. Yes. He gave a tired laugh. I suppose I should have said that 9 years ago. You should have acted like it. There was silence. Do you still wear the dress? Sometimes. To galas? Sometimes on Tuesdays. He sounded surprised. My mother did not make it to sit behind glass. No, he said quietly. She made it for you. That was the last conversation we had. I used to believe belonging was something another person granted you. A husband. A family. A powerful name. A seat at a table. My mother understood better. She did not make that dress for the day a man chose me. She made it for the day I chose myself. I wear it when I sign major contracts. I wear it when we promote someone who has spent too long being overlooked. Sometimes I wear it in my office on an ordinary afternoon because something sacred does not become less meaningful when it is finally allowed to live. Jaewon gave my mother's dress to his mistress because he believed everything connected to me was his to use. He learned too late that the dress was never his to give away. The loyalty was never his to waste. The empire was never his to claim alone. And my place in the world was never his to decide.